While God created the world, the morning stars sang together. After God delivered Israel through the Red Sea, Moses and Miriam led the people in singing. God destroyed Israel's enemies under King Jehoshaphat, while the choir sang. When Jesus was born, the angels sang, and before going to the cross, he sang. God rejoices over us with singing, and one of the only things we know for certain that everyone will be doing in heaven is singing. At New St. Andrews College, we understand that music is not an elective. It is central to our being and identity. We endeavor to train all our students in a joyful and robust musical literacy that will help them shape culture in a Christ-like direction wherever they go. Additionally, we offer the Certificate of Music in conjunction with our bachelor's degree in liberal arts and culture for students who desire extra music training beyond the regular music courses they will take as a part of the core curriculum. In the certificate program, you won't simply appreciate music or listen to it or talk about it. You will do music. You will study it, analyze it, read it, write it, sing it, and play it. You will receive private instruction in your primary instrument, as well as secondary lessons in voice, piano, conducting, and other instruments. You will receive a solid foundation in music theory and analysis. You will study music history, church music, and music pedagogy. And when you graduate, you will leave with the ability to sing, play, understand, and steward music in whatever church or community you plant yourself. I'm Dr. David Erb, and this is the Certificate of Music at New St. Andrews College.
Hey y'all, welcome to Cross Politic. It's Tuesday, and Pastor Toby's already left us. Already. Chalk knocks, I'm the water
I'm out of
boy.
here. I don't want to do this.
We're done. We're done.
Dang it.
Hey, Cross Politic Live is going to be in Wenatchee this Friday. Pastor Toby, in the afternoon, we have a couple talks at 3 and 4 p.m. In the evening, we have a live show with Pastor Doug Wilson and Dr. Ben Merkel on big tech, big EVA, big government, big COVID. It's gonna be a blast.
Yo, Pastor Toby, I want to ask you a question. If you're going to leave, could you give me a heads up? Maybe so I can make the same kind of vacation plans you're making, or leave with you, or travel in your luggage. No offense, Gabe. Just want, if next time you would be able to let me know so I can go too. Boniface Woodworking exists for those of you who enjoy shopping with integrity and who want to buy handmade wooden furniture, gifts, and heirloom items that will last for generations. From dining tables, I'm trying to channel my James White here. Is that working?
That's good. Yeah.
From dining tables and church pulpits that are made for men with backbones, to cigar humidors and everything in between.
I think you need a little more nasally. I don't.
And everything in between.
Cut that, send it to James.
Quality pieces that you can give your children's children and tie them to their roots, into their past, and transcend the basic functions of whatever they are. So start voting with your dollars and stop buying cheap crap from people who hate you and your worldview in this show. Visit bonifacewoodworking.com to see their huge gallery and learn about their story. Submit your order to heirlooms and quality woodworking items at their website, bonifacewoodworking.com.
You know, when I hear that ad, it makes me think, man, I need to do a better job buying longer term presents, generational presents.
I need that humidor because I want. I do think about that too. I keep on want to buy things that remind
generational presents
where we come from, who we are.
So November 8th is just around the corner. November 8th is election night. We're actually going to be doing a live show November 8th with a bunch of guests. It's a big production. It's a lot of fun. But we'll probably be on air for, about 3 hours. I think about 8 p.m. till about 11 p.m. Pacific time, depending on how election. It's a long time.
You know what,
it's what we did last time, though.
That's a lot of cross politics.
It is. but what we do is we have special guests on from each state, and then we have a couple real political commentators that
people on the
that
ground
can really bring it and everything. And so it's a great show. It's a lot of fun. We'll have some sponsors for that event too. So if you actually want to sponsor election night with us,
it's one of the funnest nights we do.
Contact at fightlaughfeast.com. We enjoy that night. So with that said, there's a recent survey that came out that they're trying. All these surveys are starting to happen right before election November, because everyone's trying to figure out, well, what's the best messaging to dial in to get the most votes. Well, check out what's going on here.
telling us about what might happen here in these elections.
Yeah, interesting, Savannah. We've talked so much all year about the economy and inflation being important issues. How about this? This is a New York Times poll, brand new here, asking voters what's the top issue on your mind this election. I haven't seen it this dramatic in a poll. Add the economy and inflation together. That is 44%. We're getting close to half of all respondents in this poll saying that's their top issue. Nothing else even cracks 10% right now. And we've talked about the Republicans, when it comes to the economy and inflation, having a pretty clear advantage in the polls.
And that
So, state of democracy for people who are listening.
Yeah.
So they got 7 up here.
The top two are really just economy.
So
total.
yeah,
Inflation
and
economy.
Yeah,
It
top
really
two,
is 44%.
so you can mix those together. So
Yep.
economy is 26%, inflation is 18%.
Add that up, that's 44%.
State of democracy, I don't know what that means, but I think that
I wonder if that's tied into the voting stuff.
that could be
January
it.
6th voting
that's
stuff.
8%. That tells you what their ratings are too.
Yeah.
Immigration is at 5%. Abortion is at 5%.
Yep.
Polarization and division in America.
That's not a concern.
Not really. Yeah, 4%. Now this one was
That's
shocking.
funny.
This one was shocking. Crime.
Yeah.
Crime is the lowest thing on the list. So whatever, it's really interesting when you look at Twitter, you look at Facebook, you look at social media platforms, and I think you can see that crime has actually spiked since the pandemic. So we've had
in certain cities, though.
That's true.
Chicago,
That's
Portland, it's in certain cities. The George Floyd riots have died down. The BLM riots have all died down. So I think generally crime is not as big a concern anymore.
Well,
because we have such short memories.
You look at the FBI though, and you look at their track. Of course, they don't have all their information in. They will tell you that crime has had a massive uptick. So that's there. But even so, I think your point is very valid. They haven't felt it everywhere in the country. Only certain cities have felt it. And so even though it's spiking, it's not that much of an impact. So it's at 3%. But Democrats, I mean, you would think that they would be all over the polls. They're not over the polls. They're still doing things like abortion is the most important thing that people want to talk about. I will say this, though, Gabe. I am still extremely nervous of polls since 2016.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. You know, the one thing that isn't on here, the one topic that's not on here that surprised me was education. With all the trans stuff, with all the CRT stuff, that didn't even show up a blip on
I
this.
still think that, again, this is what I was trying to make
But
the point
that's how
about.
they threw the elections in Virginia. The CRT stuff won the day in Virginia.
Yeah, but I think it's only in certain places, and I think it's a very small group of people who are making a lot of noise. Social media will make you think something is happening that's not actually.
It's not. Yeah,
and so when you make your judgments off of necessarily what's trending on social media or what's trending on the internet, you can get a wrong perspective of what's actually happening in the culture and society.
Yeah.
And so I think it gives you some gauge, but it's not the best gauge.
Do you think some of this? We've talked about this on the show. We tend to think like Apple, not like Android, where we sometimes think, hey, we need to give the people what we think they need, not what they think they need. Remember the old Henry Ford quote?
Yeah. Well,
if I was gonna give people more horses, I'd breed more horses. But they needed a car. Right?
Henry Ford is basically saying if I asked my people what they wanted, they would say that they want
more horses,
faster horses. And so what they actually want is to get to a location faster. And
but
so
I wonder if the survey's a little bit does that a little bit.
I don't know. I don't think it does. I think that they're trying to. I wanted to find this survey from New York Times to see how many people they're surveying,
break it down,
and see what the survey is, because that itself is flawed a little bit too.
Yeah, right.
But Democrats aren't caring. They're still running. Their whole game is set inside of the abortion world. They think
they're
that
playing that hard.
Yeah, they're like, okay, they know that the economy and inflation, all that stuff is a real problem for Americans right now.
And for the Democrats, because it's centrally being pegged on them right now as the economy.
And they also know that the Republicans have an upper hand on them when it comes to the economy. And so they're not trying to even compete anywhere with Republicans on the issue, hey, we've made a good economy for Americans to live in.
Right.
They're not even trying to make that argument. They're not trying to build some sort of case for.
Well, Biden's kind of even lying about it. He keeps saying the economy's great.
Yeah,
it's strong. It's strong.
Yeah, best economy. Yeah. But we all know, and everybody can feel it when they go to the gas pump, when they're going to the grocery store, when they look at the end of the month, they look at their budget, it's like, I don't have any money to save. Yeah. Something's going on wrong here. They know that argument isn't working. So they've been spending all of their time and trying to argue the fact that your rights are being taken away from you in the fact that we have the turn of Roe v. Wade. And that's where they're making their case at. Yeah. And here's a great example
Case in
of
point, Eric Swalwell. Yeah.
Nom 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 nom.
You're weird.
He is weird, but cute.
Gross.
Mary Anderson,
Yes.
I have a warrant for your arrest.
Arrest for what?
Penal Code 243 violation. Unlawful termination of a pregnancy.
You gotta be kidding me.
That is my personal business.
That's for the courts to decide, ma'am. Your medical records have been subpoenaed, and Dr. Landry's already in custody.
No, my God, you can't just.
You will have to submit to a physical examination.
What? By who?
No one's touching me. My wife.
Ma'am, turn around! Put your hands behind your back, now!
Why is this happening? Love you, honey bear.
We're just enforcing the law here.
Elections have consequences. Vote Democrat on November 8th. Stop Republicans from criminalizing abortion everywhere. Protect women's rights and freedom.
Please don't do this. Please.
That's their narrative. That's an ad well done.
Okay.
You know, it brings you in.
Are you in tears right now?
No, I'm not in tears. Not at all. But I'm just saying that's effective for their narrative.
Yeah, okay. Did you not just see the 5% that they talked about in the stats?
Yeah. No,
I don't think this is effective at all for their narrative.
Yeah.
I don't. You know, they're missing.
It definitely rallies the troops.
Okay, remember yesterday when we talked off? Does it rally the troops?
Yeah, I mean that message hits right to the center of their troops. The Democratic Party is the pro-murder, pro-choice party.
Yeah, right.
And so that gets right to.
I mean, if you're saying that this is the red meat for their audience, then sure.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's.
Yeah.
I think that they've missed it completely, and I think that this is shown in just the New York Times stats, the survey that look, 44% of people are concerned about whether or not they're going to be able.
44% of people.
44% of the people in 44% of the issues. How did you say that? Yeah, 44% of the people in the survey felt like the economy and inflation were problematic and that they weren't going to be able to provide financially for their families. Mm-hmm. And what they're doing is like, we're not going to talk about that at all. What we're going to do is we're going to run this ad about Republicans taking away your rights.
Right.
Why didn't they run an ad where they knock on the door and say, listen, because you voted for us November 8th, we were able to put this much amount of money back in your pockets, change the economy, and give you a bonus that you didn't know you had coming.
Yeah.
And then run it the other way and say, but if Republicans were elected, run it on the issues where they know they're going to have to deal with success on the issues that people care about.
Well, because the first of all, the Democrats cannot run an ad on the economy. They can't.
Right.
It's not good. Right. They can't do that. Secondly, I think they're kind of coasting off because remember in the summer, definitely polls were starting to peak back up or creep back up in favor of Democrats. That was right after Roe v. Wade was overturned. There was definitely a little motion in the polls going towards the Democrats because of Roe v. Wade. Mm-hmm. Remember that?
Yeah.
That happened this summer. That was July, August. And I think they still think that narrative is going to help them win in November. And that's why they're running commercials like this. Here's what Eric saw.
Wait, hold on.
Okay.
You gotta give a warning because usually our show comes on right before people or right after people got done eating dinner.
Yep.
And so you might want to have like some sort of Alka-Seltzer or Pepto-Bismol to try and keep your dinner
Eric
down.
Explain,
because
this is Eric's commercial.
And this is Eric Swalwell, who was on Joy Reid show. And I know we have an allergic reaction to anything Joy Reid. So just be warned.
And as a former prosecutor, when I looked at the Republicans' abortion laws, criminalizing abortion, mandating pregnancy, I thought through, well, what is this going to look like as it plays out across America? And that's seen right there. Because, many families who, make this decision are in fact families. They already have children, and I wanted that to be a part of the narrative. But also, the husband stepping in, as any partner, husband, spouse, boyfriend would do if the police were trying to take away their spouse because of a new abortion law. And also the police. I wanted it to be clear that no police officer wants to be in this position, and for the officer to say, man, we're just doing our job, that's the horrible position we're going to put law enforcement in. I wish this was an exaggeration, but this is going to be the new reality in MAGA America if we do not win the midterms in both the House and the Senate.
Well, that new reality wasn't too long ago. I don't know, the last 2 years. You guys remember? Swalwell didn't have to work too hard to try and figure out. What are you writing? I'm talking to you.
I'm writing notes. I'm listening.
Okay. Swalwell didn't have to work too hard to figure out how to make this video.
Yeah.
Remember the whole pandemic, kind of everybody's forgotten about that we went over the last 2 years?
Yeah.
I think one of the guys on this show was arrested for being outside singing psalms.
That's right, yeah.
The police literally came up to you and arrested you for being outside, not being on a circle, social distancing from other people outside.
Right.
We literally had the police arresting people who had the freedom to be at a spot without being told to stand here, and the police arrested them anyway.
Right.
We had police in New York going to people's homes because they had counted how many cars were outside.
Yep.
And they told these Jews, hey, you got too many people inside. And they barged in their house. People in Chicago were getting, people here were getting cited on the street.
Yep.
In Moscow, we're getting cited on the street for walking together down the street outside, healthy people.
Yeah.
It wasn't hard to see what kind of country we would live in if these guys were in charge, right? We see that.
Yeah.
That was evident.
That's right. That's 100%.
No one was being harmed.
Yep.
No one was being hurt. People were minding their own business, managing their own health issues, and that was the problem. And so that wasn't a problem at all for anybody, but he didn't have to go too far to figure out how to make this. The problem that he's having here is that there actually is a party involved that's being harmed. A party that is not able to speak for themselves.
It's the Herschel Walker thing. There's also a baby in there.
There's a baby in there. And so no one is defending the right of that child. And I really hate his commercial too, for another reason. I don't like the fact that they're using kids to validate the right to kill kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then trying to get you to make that play and saying, oh, your rights are being taken away because you don't have the chance to murder another human being.
No, it's not a logically consistent commercial.
Hilarious. It wasn't logically consistent, and it wasn't a good commercial for Democrats to run to try and make a play.
They're showing a loving parent, two loving parents kiss each other, right? They're showing the family having good family time around the dinner table.
Right.
But that's right after she came from an abortion.
Well,
like she just came from an abortion.
I don't know if it was just came, but
at least a week, at least 2, right?
Okay.
She recently just came from abortion, and they're showing this loving dynamic between their family, and those kids are there because she did not kill them.
And he was saying, I wanted to make sure and show like a husband engaging.
Yeah.
Well,
what is a husband?
Well,
what's a family?
Well, what is a woman?
What is a woman?
But the time for the husband to engage would have been when say, hey, baby, we're going to be all right. We're going to make it. This is going to be fine. You are beautiful. You're giving me another, the fruit of your womb is giving me another child. That's the way you show the man engaging. Not in, hey, honey, it's your choice to kill our next child.
And then he chooses to protect her between the cops?
That was the wrong time.
That's when he stepped up?
Yeah. There was a murder that was committed.
That's right.
And
that's when he should have stepped up.
And that's something that I think that we need to lean into and say, no. We protect life so much that people who commit murder against another human being need to be punished like they committed murder against another human being.
And so to Eric's point that's exactly what the cop's job is to do.
If there's
Even
a murder.
if it's political.
Right.
He's saying the cops don't want to step in a political situation like that. No. Even if it is political, the cops are supposed to and required by law to step in and save a baby.
That is part of their duty to another human being.
That's right.
There's also another thing in this too. When the nation starts to go the right direction, understand the value of life, and the laws start to change, it's not like this happens. What ends up happening is the law disciples people to live a particular type of way. So now when you have pro-life laws that actually punish murder and death like this, then people start thinking way long term, right? They start thinking like, wait a second, this is a crime. If I do this, I commit a crime. How do I not do this?
Right.
They start thinking about well, maybe we don't need. We've already seen it. Colleges are changing how they do things, right?
The University of Idaho here in town, because we're a heartbeat bill state. The University of Idaho already had to change how their counselors were allowed to counsel their students.
I've seen
already
so many. I saw some sorority groups who were talking about like abstinence until we get abortion rights back. I'm like, look at God.
Praise God.
Don't tell me he won't do it. So the law actually disciples people in such a way that they actually start to bring on the nature of life. Right. So they're like, okay, well, we guess we can't do that. Yeah. All that goes away as soon as the Dobbs versus Jackson abortion clinics start shutting down like crazy. And so many of them were like, well, we can't do it. Even during the trial, they were saying we can't even do abortions until we figure out what the conclusion is going to be with this.
Yeah, that's right.
And so just the threat of that is enough to change the way that people operate.
And I wasn't able to track this down, but apparently Planned Parenthood is trying to make a shift nationwide into gender clinics. So they're going to go away from killing babies to probably some sort of gender surgeries. I haven't been able to track all those details down, but I saw a news report on that. So I hope to find out more about that. But Planned Parenthood's pivoting. With that said, TikTok, just recently there's this TikTok gal talking about how she was celebrating, she's transitioning from a woman to a man and celebrating her ovaries being removed.
So this is Libs of TikTok. We gave Matt Walsh the Journals of the
World. Libs of TikTok.
What do we give Libs of? I mean, what if you guys know what we're going to give Libs of TikTok?
But she's not really a journalist. All she's doing is resharing what they're doing.
No, I mean, but to find it, to take the time to go through. I mean, when I was working at Wretched and I was producing for Todd, the kind of content that I went through on a daily basis, that stuff, I had to stop for a minute and just walk down the block or take the stairs just because there's so much content and so many crazy things out there.
Yep.
You go insane. I wasn't even looking at stuff like this.
Trigger warning. Yeah, so in this...
That's a woman.
Hey, y'all. So I just got my uterus back. And it looks so freaking cool. Trigger warning, this is an organ, and it is a wet specimen, and it is my uterus, plus the tubes as well. So, ready for the reveal? This is it. This is my uterus. She scrubbed off all the blood. That is my cervix. That's what a cervix looks like, y'all. And these little strings right here are my fallopian tubes. This is my uterus. This is it compared to my head. This little thing causes so much problems for everybody. And I also got a LED plug-in LED stand with it. So it lights up different color and spins while it displays it, which is so cool.
That is incredible. So the celebration of fruitlessness.
This is
the celebration of removing your body parts. First of all, the doctors are violating their Hippocratic oath.
Yeah.
By doing that. And then you have a woman, that's a woman. She takes testosterone, which lowers her voice.
It's not that low.
It's still lower than it.
Well, it shouldn't be that way, but it's not like it's not that
low. It's still low. And she's celebrating the removal of what God has given her to bear fruit in this world.
This I was talking about this clip. Was it yesterday? A little bit, and I don't know if it's backstage or not. And one of the things that immediately came to me was like, if we are seeing that our kids in schools are under attack by the left, and we're saying, oh my goodness, our kids are under attack, and I think that's true. I think they are under attack. Then what are women? I think that our women are under a massive attack right now. To the point that the enemy has them cutting out.
That's right.
The very thing that produces fruit of blessing for a whole society.
Yeah.
And uses it like an ornament. This is eugenics. Eugenics hasn't died in America yet. No. It's not went away. And now it's been, if Hitler had the uterus of Jewish women hanging somewhere, we would all be like, freaking out, right? Mm-hmm. But it doesn't matter that they're a Jew. It matters that they're a woman and they're a human being. You're a human. You don't take your body parts and cut them out, and so that you can transition into something else and put them up for display. Like, haha, this is This is insane. This is that Romans 1 stuff, right? Claiming to be wise, they became fools, right? Because they didn't acknowledge God. This is all, you turn into this when you start breaking the first commandment, right? What it means to obey the first commandment is to be happy with the position in which God made you.
Yep.
I am the Lord your God. You should have no other gods before me. I made you woman. I made you man, right? I put you in this environment. So when you look at yourself and when you look at the environment that you're in, you should say, whether or not you like it, you say, God made me like this. I embrace that because God is good. So whatever he's done is good. The environment I'm in, I might not like it, but it's good. Lord, help me to love it.
Right.
Help me to like it.
But when you've been discipled for, 20 years, however
when you got a little serpent in your ear all the time.
Yeah, but when you've been discipled for hours, she's 20 years, 22 years old, however she is, but she's been listening to evolution for this long.
Oh.
She's gotten the evolutionary worldview in her mind, in her body, in her blood. And so it's no wonder if I grew out of a monkey, if I came from a monkey, and I can change body parts are a functional product of evolution.
Yeah.
Then why can't I just do this kind of surgery and replace my body parts? Why can't I do? This is Darwinian transhumanism is what we're dealing with here. And actually, and we need to think. This goes back to the classroom. We need to be far more concerned about what the public school is doing to our culture. Listen to this.
Some ways that we can show our support for trans and non-binary students are just to clean up that language, be more precise. We can be more accurate and be more inclusive. So I would say, no, it's not women that produce eggs. It's ovaries that produce eggs. That's accurate. That's precise. We're acknowledging that not all women produce eggs, and also not all egg producers are women, for example. And we're teaching students that language matters. We're not just talking about imaginary people and living things, that our language impinges on the people in our classroom and in our community.
So is this where it stops?
So but the reason that pause is there, I put that pause there on purpose because that's a she, by the way.
Yeah,
that is a she. That is not a man.
Taking
that is
testosterone deep as a voice.
Yeah, that is a she. Whatever that. Yeah. Don't believe that.
And then the person in the upper left hand corner of those who are watching the screen, that's a boy. That's a boy.
Right. And so this is actually the Department of Education. They put on a training session for teachers to learn how to be inclusive for transgender and non-binary K through 12 students. Great. There's a couple things going on here. First of all, do you still have your kids in government school?
Yeah.
I don't know. I see people fighting for government schools and saying, hey, we got to get these other folks out of government schools. You don't understand.
Yep.
You have to save your kids.
Right.
Now, if you want to continue to fight for government schools, you want to continue to try and change the system, you know what? I'm fine with that in one sense. But take your kids out of it first.
Yeah.
Take your kids completely out of it. Reassess the situation. Ask God for help. Lord, how do we do this?
Mm-hmm.
My mom, a single mom, she raised my sister and myself and homeschooled us.
Yep.
Now, I'm not a great testament to how great homeschooling works.
To the product.
But I'm just saying, we turned out okay. My wife likes me. That's all that really matters at the end of the day. But what I want to say is you can do it. You don't have to be subject to this. This is insanity.
Yeah.
This is the kind of stuff that makes your kid comes home and say, look, my uterus is in a jar.
Yeah.
It's not just about being inclusive. It's about completely transforming your kids and taking and destroying your kids.
Yeah. But we've, like that chick who was speaking nailed it. Language matters. And we, in the Christian church, we don't understand how important it is that language matters. You know, in the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God.
Yes, right.
All language flows from Christ. All definitions flow from the Word of truth. And for Christians for the longest time, we've given the definition, the dictionary, the definitions over to the world. They can define what love is. They can define what Jesus is. They can define what sovereignty means in the church.
Well, they can define
Jesus is only king of the church, in the house, in your walls, in your heart. That's it.
We think that we give the dictionary over and then they can just define the words.
Yep.
No. They get to define the relationship between you and your children.
That's right.
Do you understand? When you give the dictionary over, you're not giving the dictionary over. You're giving over your actual freedom.
Yeah,
You're giving over your liberty.
Relationships,
You're
everything.
giving over the actual constructs of nature when you give over the terms of the dictionary, right? When you give over the dictionary to them. So the Department of Education, they caught a lot of heat for this. And they decided to come out with a statement that said, these comments were not made by the Department of Education, the department staff member. So that pause was there because no one who was from the Department of Education, which is the guy on the bottom right hand, what is his name?
Yeah, the black
Christian
guy.
Rhodes.
Yeah.
Or the other lady up there, none of them said anything.
Right.
None of them said anything.
Yeah, they all shook their heads.
How is it how is it that this lady is sitting up here? I'm going to assume that that's a lady in the top right hand corner. It's just, let me first say that. We don't know. Things are.
I think she's trying too hard.
But how does she just get all of her identity robbed from her in front of everybody?
And she just shook her head.
And she just shook her head.
I'm just made up of body parts. My ovaries in here are what make babies, not me.
This is the
not a woman. A woman doesn't make babies.
Right.
Only my ovaries.
Only my ovaries do. He just, remember there was a time when we said you don't objectify women?
Yeah.
Well, that's what
That's exactly what's happening. Yeah.
That's exactly what just happened. And it's
I kind of tend to think Mr. Rhodes, like his mama's like, boy, you better come home right now. I'm gonna fix you right up. You should have spoke.
Well, he should have
spoke up.
If you watch him during that clip, you think his conscience is bothering him a little bit.
Yeah.
I think fathers, we need to make sure that we are protecting our women. Yeah. This is a lack of man to be able to protect and provide for their women and for their daughters and for their families. Men that go home, and if you can get it, go grab the book Federal Husband from Doug Wilson. It's one of the most foundational books you can have as a man, being a husband and a father. Some of the things he talks about in there, men, when we beautify the things of a woman, when she's pregnant and you look at that and say, look at all that glory. Look at all that blessing. Look at the fruit of our labor. Look at all that fruit. And you make sure that your kids see that and be like, wow, mom is beautiful. Oh, let's massage her feet. Oh, let's pant the belly. Let's give her a meal. Let's take care of her because that's nothing but a bunch of glory running around here. We love this glory. It is good. Look at how God has decided to bless. When we make much of our women and talk and show the beauty of that and glory in the beauty of that, then the rest of the world sees that and they're like, oh, don't touch that. That's glorious. But men haven't been making much of their women. Good men haven't been making much of their daughters maturing and teaching and protecting them so that the world now can just cut out a uterus and put it up and it's like, no, you don't get to blackface women. That's wrong. And we're not going to allow you to do it.
No way.
And where's Pastor Toby at?
Where is he at?
He's supposed to be
He's a Presbytery. That's where he's at.
We'll see him soon. If you're single, get married. If you're married, have you some kids. And if you have kids, go baptize them. Until tomorrow, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. This is Cross Politics. Hey, go tell your wife you love her.
Hi, I'm Robert Borton, CEO of Classical Conversations, the world's largest classical Christian homeschooling community. I'm launching a new podcast, Refining Rhetoric. If you like cross politics or just listen to hear what crazy stuff they're saying today, you will enjoy Refining Rhetoric. You can find us on your favorite podcast platform. I practice the 15 tools of learning by interviewing great guests, looking at current events, and talking about cryptocurrency.
This is where Dave and I plan this year's company holidays.
Let's go through the list.
Easter.
Too religious.
St. Patrick's Day.
Too white. Mother's Day.
Way too cisgendered.
All of your usual holidays have been canceled this year.
But we still have Karl Marx's birthday!
Need a real reason to party? Find a new job at redballoon.work.